Hi, Avery. Remember me? I'm Miss Baker. Okay, today we're actually going to read a story. What do you think the story is going to be about?
A dog and a cat.
A dog and a cat? Why do you think it's about a dog and a cat?
Can I see it on the front cover?
Yeah, there's a dog and there's the cat. Want to read the title? Okay, it says Two Bobbies. A true story of Hurricane Katrina, friendship, and survival. So what's the story about?
Hurricane and survival.
Hurricane and survival. It's right there in the title, right? Do you think this is going to be a fiction or non-fiction book?
Non-fiction.
Non-fiction, why?
Because it said it was a true story.
It is a true story. So that's what we're going to read today. But we need to find out some more information about hurricanes. Do you know a lot about hurricanes?
No, I never had one.
No, we never had one. You're right. We get what here? We get tornadoes. Lots and lots of tornadoes. What we have here is the before information. This will help us better understand our story. Okay? Alright, so this is a hurricane. It says hurricanes are natural disasters that are really big storms. You see how big that is? That comes from the ocean. See how it's on the ocean?
How does it come from the ocean?
It has hot and cold water and it swirls together and makes a really big storm. When hurricanes hit land, it makes the streets and everything have really high water. So it's like covered with water and it covers houses and cars. It's really, really bad. Did you hear about the hurricane that hit a few weeks ago or last week? Well, there was a really big hurricane that hit last week and this is some of the damage it made. See the car?
Was it in our city or no?
No, it wasn't in our city. Did we have a lot of water outside?
No.
No, it kind of hit in Georgia and North Carolina a lot.
Poor.
What we're going to read about is what? Do you remember the name of the hurricane? It's okay. Hurricane Katrina. So it happened in 2005, so way before you were born, in New Orleans. It caused a lot of strong wind and blew trees and buildings down. It caused lots of water to be on land, and many people had to travel by boats and leave their homes. Do you see people using boats right here?
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
What if they have pets, beloved pets?
Well, we're going to find out about two pets that were left behind. Many volunteers came to help after New Orleans was messed up by the hurricane. So we're going to read about some of those volunteers and how they helped a dog and a cat. Okay? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's get started. Alright, two bobbies. Neither Bobby the dog nor Bobcat has a tail, and some say that's what brought them together. No one knows for sure how they met. Perhaps their owners had a soft spot for pets with no tails, but the two Bobbies, as they now come to be known, were each exactly the friend the other needed at exactly the right time. This is their story. The city of I'm gonna read this way. Ready? The city of New Orleans on the mighty Mississippi is a place many people and pets call home. Jamming with jazz and dressing up fancy for Mardi Gras, it's bustled with life, day and night. But on August 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina bore down on the city and everyone who lived there, including a wisp of a cat and a dog. Do you see the cat and dog?
Yeah, I felt bad for them because they had a hurricane.
They do have a hurricane. Let's find out their story. Winds roared to 110 miles an hour. Rain pounded hard and fast. Strong winds pushed walls of water from the Gulf of Mexico into the Lake of Ponta Canary. Some of the levees holding back the lake gave way. Water poured into the city deeper and deeper. People who had stayed through the storm were finally forced to leave their homes. They had to say goodbye to everything they loved. Many were told they could not bring their pets. Bobby and Bobcat were left behind. Bobby had been tethered with a length of rope, but Bobcat stayed by her side. Together in the silent heat, they waited for help to come. What do you see in the picture?
Water.
Water, lots of water. After the storm, volunteers from across the country came to New Orleans to lend a hand. They brought food and water. They rescued people stranded on the roofs of their homes, and they rescued many animals. Do you think they're going to be rescued? Do you think they're going to rescue them?
No.
No? Do you think they see them? I don't think they see them. But with so much damage and confusion, the two Bobbies were not rescued. Their food and water gone, Bobby finally broke free. She dragged along the broken chain with Bobcat close beside her. In the early days after the hurricane, the two Bobbies tried to make their way around oily water littered with debris. After the water receded, they traveled the buckled streets with no place to call home.
But where did all the people go?
They had to leave because it was too dangerous. Do you know what buckled means?
No.
No, it means damaged or kind of broken.
And the city looks lots of damage.
It does. You see all the trees all over the street?
No cars can drive by me.
No cars. Month after month passed as Bobby and Bobcat wandered the devastated city. Their days and nights were filled with danger. Packs of hungry, homeless dogs roamed the streets, fighting smaller animals for food. Were Bob and Bobcat chased away from any scraps they might have found? With little food to eat or clean water to drink, Bobby's ribs began to show. Bobcat's brown sugar markings started to fade to a dull white.
Why is there an X on the houses?
It means it's too dangerous to go in. One day in January, 4 long months later, Bobby and Bobcat strayed onto a job site. A construction crew hammered and saw, fixing up a motel damaged by the hurricane. A worker dog rushed over to play with Bobby. The dog's owner, Rich, noticed Bobcat too. He saw how thin the two strays were and began feeding them. He trimmed Bobby's chain, leaving enough to dangle on the ground, because Bobcat liked to follow it. But every time Rich tried to touch Bobcat, Bobby growled. After a week of caring for the two Bobbies, Rich got some bad news when his boss came to visit the job site. He was given permission for one dog, but not 2 dogs and a cat. He said Bobby and Bobcat had to go.
He wanted that mean dog?
Well, that's his dog. These are Bobby and Bobcat. But he was only given permission for one. Rich was determined to take them to a safe place, but Bobby still growled whenever Rich got too near Bobcat. She would not let him pick up or even touch her friend. So Rich rattled a bowl full of kibble, Bobby followed the food to Rich's van, and Bobcat followed Bobby. Rich drove them to a temporary shelter that Best Friends Animal Shelter Society had set up in Celebration Station, a former video game arcade. The shelter was completely filled with homeless dogs and cats, but a volunteer welcomed them in, even naming them Bobby and Bobcat for their bobtails. They were placed in separate rooms. All night long, Bobby howled and barked. Bobcat paced back and forth. No one could sleep with Bobby making such a ruckus. What do you think ruckus means?
It means probably that it's noisy.
It's very noisy. It's making very loud noise and being a distraction. So very good job. So volunteers made a large pen for her and put Bobcat in his small carrier. Inside Bobby's new cage, Bobby lay in front of Bobcat and whimpered. The volunteers opened the small cage to see what would happen. The two Bobbies touched noses, together again at last. Do they look like they're happy to be together? They do. For the next few minutes, the volunteers studied Bobby and Bobcat. They noticed how Bobcat stayed close to Bobby. They saw how he walked with his neck stuck out and how he carefully lifted his front paws, placing them down as unsure where to step on. Someone waved a hand in front of Bobcat's face. Bobcat did not jump back. Another volunteer waved her hand, but Bobcat did not even blink. Everyone was stunned. Bobcat was blind. All this time on their own, Bobby had been Bob's Bobcat seeing eye dog. Do you know what blind means?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It means your eyes don't work.
It means your eyes don't work. You can't see.
And it's not good.
Nope, not good.
And if you have a dog and you're blind, then your dog can help you cross the road and all that.
Exactly. Bobby was helping Bobcat do all those things. The volunteers and even an ace pet detective searched for their family with no success. 1 month later, Celebration Station closed its doors, but Bobby and Bobcat still did not have a home. There was only one thing left to do. The two Bobbies made a television appearance on CNN Anderson Cooper. The very next day, the best friends volunteer left New Orleans, and one of them drove Bobby and Bobcat to the best friends animal sanctuary in Utah, where they would stay until a new friend would be found. They were on their way west when the news came in. Hundreds of people wanted to adopt them. It would take a very special family to adopt them. The volunteers made a list and invited everyone on it to come and meet the two Bobbies. Only Melinda and her Boston Terrier, Gus Gus, made the long trip to Utah. That night, Bobby and Bobcat had a sleepover with Melinda and Gus Gus in one of the cottages on the sanctuary grounds. Would the two Bobbies choose Melinda? What do you think? Do you think they choose her?
Yeah.
Maybe?
And
Yeah.
I think that's Gus Gus.
You think that's Gus Gus? I think so too, because this one is who?
Bobby
Bobby
and Bobby Cat.
and Bobcat. Alright, let's look. The next morning, everyone knew the answer. Bobby and Bobcat were stuck to Melinda like Velcro. They also liked Gus Gus, and he liked them. Finally, Bobby and Bobcat have found their new family. Now they live with Melinda, Gus Gus, and Amelia on a ranch in southern Oregon. Bobcat has a window seat in it. He likes to play with a robot vacuum cleaner. He turns it on all by himself. Bobby helps with the ranch chores. She goes along on horse rides. On hot days, she lounges in the frog and berry pond. At the end of every day, Bobby and Bobcat snuggle up together. They have toys and treats and lots of new friends, even a camel. Best of all, they have each other.
How do they have a camel?
I don't know, maybe they live in a farm or something. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Looks like they even have frogs. After the storm, like thousands of others, the two Bobbies lost their family and everything dear to them when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. After they came to live with Melinda and Gus Gus, the veterinarian discovered debris and grit deep inside Bobcat's ear canal. His right eardrum was broken. Did Bobby snatch Bobcat from the city's dirty floodwaters that had filled New Orleans? No one will ever know, but it is very likely that a blind cat like Bobcat would not have made it without Bobby's protection. In turn, Bobcat's friendship may have made Bob stronger and given her means to go on. Bobby and Bobcat survived Hurricane Katrina. They did it by lending each other a paw. Look, it says Bobby and Bobcat at Celebration Station.
And how does that person that titled that book know that it happened and it was real?
Well, they were on TV, weren't they? And they could have talked to Melinda. So they were on the television screen, so they know about their story. All right. Was that a good story? I liked it. All right.
And why did I never see